Oyster Bay Today visits Barnshed Brewing at 100 Lauman Lane in Bethpage.
I'm Councilman Lou Imbroto, and we're here in Bethpage at Barnshed Brewing Company with Bryan, the owner. Bryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about Barnshed?
So we started in 2017 after years of home brewing and testing out recipes. And I home brewed for a few years, and then we got too big, and then we opened up this place in 2017. We've been here ever since.
And why'd you choose Bethpage?
So I'm a local guy. I grew up in Bethpage, and we wanted to keep it like a local feel and have something for the community.
I see you have a wide selection of beers here. You've got about 12 taps. We got a couple of them in front of us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the beers you have?
Yeah, so we have two beers on tap year-round, the 135 Pale Ale and the Propaganda Porter. Everything else gets rotated in and out. We're big into the season, so as the season changes, we have a seasonal beer. So like in the winter, we have a winter ale. The spring, we have a blonde ale. Summer, we have a pineapple Hefeweizen, and then in the fall, we have a pumpkin ale. So right here, we have a flight. So you get 4 in a flight. Right now, we have the 135 Pale Ale, a Frosted Winter Ale. 5 is our Propaganda Porter, and 6 is our X-IPA. So we usually have 2 or 3 IPAs on throughout the year, and those also get rotated in.
And when you come to Barnshed, you can get a pint, you can get a flight. You also sell beer to go?
Yeah, so we have 32-ounce growlers and 32-ounce growlers. So you can have a few here, taste what you like, and take some home to go.
What's the difference between a crowler and a growler?
So this we can on site. This it's one-time use. This you could fill and bring back and get refilled.
So you mentioned that you have a pale ale, you have a porter, you have a stout. What are the differences between those types of beer?
So it depends on, everybody has a different palate. So we usually try and have a big spread of beers to make everybody happy. But like for like a pale ale, it would be like a little bit more hoppier than a lager, like a regular beer. And then like porters and stouters would have like darker malts. Would be like a chocolate malt or a dark malt. And IPAs obviously are a little bit more hoppier than a pale ale.
So what's meant by a lager?
So a lager is so lagering means cold fermentation. So like a lager would be, instead of like a regular beer, like a regular ale is fermented at like 68 room temperature, where a lager would be colder fermentation. And it would be, to call it a lager, it's at least 28 days lagering, cold fermentation.
Is a lager the type of beer that takes the longest to make?
Yes, it's the hardest and the most available because it's the most popular. So a lot of commercial breweries make, but it's the hardest beer to make and it's the most available. And
what's the difference between that and an ale?
The yeast. So like I said, the lagers are cold fermentation, ales are fermented at room temperature, like 68, 72 degrees.
What's a pale ale versus an ale?
So it would be more hops, I would say. It depends on how people look at it. I think of so this is our 135 Pale Ale. I think of a Pale Ale as like a copper color. And then this is our porter, which is with some chocolate malt in it. So this would be a little bit darker.
And how's the porter made?
So the porter it's the same yeast. So this would be an ale yeast as well. It's just with more like darker malt. So this would be like a caramel malt and this would be like a chocolate malt.
And what's the difference between a stout and a porter?
See, this is a very difficult question because a lot of people will give you a different answer. But my point of view would be porters are more bitter and more alcohol, whereas stouts would be less bitter and more like more oats.
Okay, and all the beer is carbonated or nitrogenated?
Yeah. So actually, we do have a Guinness style beer, which is on nitro. Everything else is on regular CO2.
And do you always have a nitro beer on tap?
Yeah. So around St. Patty's Day, we put a red ale on nitro.
Do you sell anything other than beer?
So we're a New York State farm brewer, and so that allows us to sell New York State packaged wine and spirits. So we have canned wine and we have live products, vodka, bourbon, and gin.
What does it mean that you're a farm brewer, New York State farm brewer?
So what it does is it gives us a little bit of more flexibility in our license. So we're a farm brewer, so it's more for the local economy and the local state. So we help with New York State wineries and distilleries and vice versa. So they can sell our beer, we can sell their products.
Does that mean that the grains that you're using to make the beer are all grown locally?
Yes, so right now it's at 60%. So 60% of our grain has to be from New York State to serve, yes.
So when you come to Barnshed, not only are you supporting a local business, but you're supporting your local farmers and other growers throughout the state. What's the most unique beer that you've ever made?
Let's see. We made a s'mores beer a couple of years ago. It was a stout, and we literally had a grill outside. We made like 6 or 8 s'mores with the chocolate and the marshmallow and threw it right in. And
Really?
it was a s'more stout, yeah. People keep asking for that one, you gotta bring it back.
Okay, and do you sell the beer anywhere besides here at Barnshed?
Yeah, so we have a couple of local, so we're so small. We have a one-barrel system, so we're so small, we have a few accounts. We have a few accounts in Hicksville, Peppercorns and Rabbit's Foot, and one in Bethpage called Me and You Restaurant.
And at Me and You, you'll sometimes do beer dinners, right? Where you have a meal paired with a beer. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so what it will be is we'll have like 4 beers on tap like this, and there'll be 4 matching meals. So it would be like appetizer, entree, like a salad, and like a dessert. And each of the food would be paired with a different beer.
I noticed when I came in, there was a family. They looked like they're having a picnic. Can you bring in food from the outside and eat it here?
Yeah, of course. So we do have snacks available, but you're also allowed to bring in food. And sometimes we'll have food trucks outside depending on the weather. Those are kind of seasonal thing too, but we like to rotate a few food trucks as well.
So other than drinking, are there other activities that people could do when they come here?
Yeah, of course. So like once or twice a month we have a trivia night on a Thursday. And we have board games, like Jenga and stuff like that, keep people entertained. And then every month or every other month we usually have like a themed party. So like in February we have Drinking with Lincoln. This past December we had an ugly sweater party. So we always keep things up to date and keep going with the fun stuff to do.
This sweater is not from the party. I noticed you have a map on the wall. Does this show where people are coming from?
Yes, so it's all over the world actually, which is surprisingly here in a small place like this. But yeah, we have people coming from a far, far away to come see us. So it's been fun.
So when can we come and visit Barnshed?
So we're usually open Thursday to Sunday, depending on the week or the holiday, but mostly Thursday to Sunday.
All right, so come on down to Barnshed Brewing, support our local brewers and our farmers throughout New York State, and come and have a great beer here in Bethpage. I'm Councilman Lou Imbroto, and this is Oyster Bay Today.
Stop in to Barnshed Brewing at 100 Lauman Lane in Bethpage, just across from the Bethpage Business Park. Visit barnshedbrewing.com for more information.